It's Tuesday, the 14th of February, and we are on the Ftse 100. I've just entered into a long position after this 8:30 a.m. pin bar, waited for the market to start breaking above the high, and I have entered into a buy position. Now, the Ftse 100 this morning, well, the first thing is if you want to see the overall analysis for this market, so what I was looking at from this morning before the market opens, the reasoning for the zones, then just watch the review video of the same date on the YouTube channel. Okay, so the Ftse 100 sold off very strongly this morning. From around about 7:55 a.m. we can see that almost 30 points came off of the Ftse, and it happened very quickly. The 8 a.m. 5-minute bar was a very strong bearish candle. Now, for me this morning, what I was looking for was if the market sold down into this zone here and held the zone, there was a potential for a bullish run up. Now, for me, I really want to look up at these levels up here for a target for this buy position. I want to be a little bit careful also. We've got some EU news coming out at 9, also 9:30. On occasion, you can see these giving either spikes to markets or large price movements. So at 9 o'clock, if I'm still in the trade at 9:30, what I want to do is just be ready to manually exit the trade if I start to see those very large price movements. But for me, I'm in this trade looking to take it up into these previous highs right here, just before the zone at 7278. And we'll see how this one gets on. What I will do is as always, I will pause the video. I will turn it back on when the Ftse begins to move one way or the other. Anytime I'm making any decisions, I will turn it back on and talk you through exactly what is going on. Now, the Ftse 100 also, we can see it's been bouncing around here pre-market before it pushed up and then sold off. And what we can see is this is the level that we are currently reacting with. However, I'm still happy to be in this trade. When I was looking at it this morning, the analysis was that if we came down into this zone and if it held, I was happy to look for those buy positions. So we've had one that's set up very nicely right here at 8:30. I'm happy to look for this to come back up into these previous highs, with management point for the trade really being this whole section right here where the market has been chopping around pre-market. Just want to see how it reacts up at these levels. If we start to get clear reversal signals, bearish signals, I would just come out of the trade. I just want to quickly add to this video this very strong sell from this morning also. Now, I haven't double checked this as yet, however what I am presuming is that this came on the back of the Rolls-Royce announcement that they have had large losses. So they've announced that they've lost just over 4 billion for the year, with Rolls-Royce being part of the Ftse 100. When they suffer losses, it does affect the Ftse 100 index. So we've seen the very strong sell coming in. This is basically people dumping their stocks after the loss, after the bad news. However, as mentioned, when it held at this trading zone, I'd already said this morning in my analysis that if the market came down into this zone and held this zone, I would be looking for buy positions down here. So that's what we've seen, and I was happy to get into the long position after that 8:30 a.m. pin bar. Okay, the market is spiking up toward the target. You can see we had a reaction at the management point, not overly strong. We then came down, created a pin bar. Just being a little bit careful because it is 9:30. As I mentioned, the Euro news comes out at 9:30. So if it begins to plummet against me, I just want to get out of the trade relatively quickly. Apart from that, I am just looking for the spike up into the target area where I would exit. Let's have a look. Just show you exactly how it's set up. Right here, so I'm risking, let me just get this right, on 55.7, risking 10 points. Looking for just better than 10 points, so just better than 1-to-1. It's how I very often trade. Look for 1-to-1 when I'm day trading, or just better than 1-to-1 risk to reward, and then I only let the trades run that are very, very high probability. So I'm just looking for this market to spike up. If we can get into the target, I am out of this trade for profit. It's just past 9:30, that would be me finished for the trading day. Okay, so I've just came out of that trade as it has popped up toward the target, around about 10 points. I believe it said 9.7, 9.8 points there. So 1-to-1 risk to reward, trade completed. One quick thing to go over with this trade also is what I've noticed with some traders is that they look at markets trying to analyze it from 100 different directions. What you're going to find is when you're trading, there are a number of ways to do it. So some people will use something like this, something like Fibonacci. They'll trade off of Fibonacci levels. Some people will use support and resistance. Some people will just use moving averages. Then you've got people who use indicators like Bollinger Bands and relative strength index, things like that. You've got pattern traders, people who trade things like triangles, looking for breakout trades. There are multiple different ways to trade and to look at markets. Where the real problems start, what I find, at least when I'm working with beginners, is the real problems start when people try to do everything. So they don't have a solid plan. What they have instead is a tiny little bit of information on each one. So they've learned a little bit about triangles, a little bit about Fibonacci, a little bit about support and resistance, moving averages, and then they look at a market, and what they start to see is 100 different signals at once. So they'll be sitting here and they'll say, oh, well, this looks like it's about to be a breakout from a triangle. I'll take that trade. It won't work. They'll say, oh, well, it's a Fibonacci level, so I guess I can get into a reversal here. That won't work. They'll look at it and they'll say, well, the moving average is sloping down and it's just starting to hit a resistance area. I'm going to take this trade. That won't work. And it ends up being devastating to the trader, but they don't really know where they are going wrong. And what it is really is that they just don't have a fixed plan. It's much better in trading, whatever it is that you learn to trade. You know, it can be any of those things that I've just said. It can be, if it works for you, you know, when the stars align with Jupiter or something, if that works for you, that can be what you trade. But what's really important is that you master what it is that you are trying to trade. Don't try and, you know, be a jack of all trades. Try and be a master of one trade. And whatever it is that works for you, just focus on it. Just keep learning and learning and learning a little bit more every day. Have your trading plan, have exactly what works for you, and trade that way. It's going to help you a lot more in the long run. Okay, guys, so that's me for today. As always, I hope that was helpful. I'm James Orr, and thank you.